So Yancey Strickler runs what could be a unicorn. It's a company based out of New York that's raised more than $2 billion with more than 10 people spending money on the platform.
10 million, I think.
Did I say billion?
More
There's
than 10. More than 10.
There's
yeah.
too many unicorns.
Yeah.
But you're not focused on optimizing profits for Kickstarter, are you, Yancey? Because you recently became a public benefit corporation. Explain the thinking behind this.
Yeah, right on. Yeah, well, we've always approached Kickstarter from a very idealistic perspective. It's who we are. But from the very beginning, we all vowed to never sell the company, to never try to go public, to try to preserve this as kind of a public trust, as a space that can exist in a strong creative economy, as a place where new ideas can happen. And so we've always been very clear about that. And then a few years ago, we became aware of this legal definition of a public benefit corporation, which means that if you reincorporate and it requires 90% of your outstanding shares as approval to do so, it creates a mandate for you to consider positive impact on society equally with your own sustainability. So it sets a higher bar and a multiple bottom line for you as a company. And we believe that a universe only driven by profit maximization can be poisonous to culture especially. And that it's important that there's a diversity of models and concepts about how an entrepreneur, how a business, how an artist or creator can operate. And so, we need to make ourselves example one for how to do that. And so that happened just about 2 months ago.
What changes have there been in practice day to day?
Well, we drafted this charter. You can see it on our site, kickstarter.com/charter, that lists, I think, about a dozen commitments that we've made. It includes being involved in supporting artists and the environments and conditions they live in. It includes donating 5% of our profits each year to help arts and music education and to fight systemic inequality. It also includes a pledge to not employ legal but esoteric tax avoidance strategies, to not sell user data, to not use our terms of use and privacy policies to claim rights we do not have. You may have seen in the New York Times this week a piece about forced arbitration that companies are forcing customers to do. We chose not to do those things. It just lays out for us what we think it is to truly be a conscientious company that's thinking of the public good. So, a lot of that reflected how we've always behaved and the values that we've always had. But before that goes live, there's definitely a moment where you're like, okay, let's look at everything and make sure we're truly living up to the spirit of that. So we've done that, and also for any big existential operational questions moving forward, there'll be a part of the process which is, the PBC check. Let's make sure this lives up to the spirit of what we put out there. And so we will be publicly reporting on how we've done beginning February 2017. I'll be transparent, I'll be on the website. Everyone here can look at it and call bullshit on us or tell us ways we could do better if you want. But the whole idea is to be more open and a part of society and really embracing that.
All of which sounds a bit awkward if you're one of the big tech companies that does make money from user data, that doesn't have that level of the transparency that you have. How much do you want to shame other companies?
Yeah, very little. I mean, very, very little. I think that, what I think about is, we believe deeply in a responsibility we have to others, and we feel so fortunate to be in the place that we are. And we remember what brought us here. There's every giant corporation started as a small company, but at some point they lost their soul. I don't know when that is. But by doing a move like this, it's putting your idealism in amber at the very beginning and making sure that's always a part of the company. And so, I think that there are other entrepreneurs and people like us who want to do something more than, just survive, than just get rich or those sorts of things. And I think there's just a lack of models to follow. And if you look around the world of technology, it's a lot of talk of valuations and growth rates and all these sorts of things. But there's not as much talk about impact or about responsibility or things like that. And for us, we have been a profitable company for 5 years. And so when you do that, you can preserve your independence. So we're not reliant on getting VCs and having to juke the stats or do bad things to our users to try to continue to survive. We are in a position based on having a strong model at the core of our business, and that provides a lot of freedom. But we just want to create another path, especially for an entrepreneur who's starting something now, who feels similarly idealistic about the world, and they shouldn't be forced to put aside their strong beliefs just to get that check. And so, hopefully we, and I look at a company like Basecamp as being another great example, can set a different model that entrepreneurs can follow.
So it's not that profit is inconvenient, wrong in itself. You're still pursuing profit.
Yeah, well, sustainability is important. Sustainability is important. That's what allows you to continue to serve your community and gives you a considerable amount of freedom. But, it should just be about that. It should be about furthering your mission and achieving what you set out to do. For us, our motivations are not about personal enrichment. It is about the world to be a whole lot better if there's a place where just new ideas can go and have a chance to survive. And we feel committed and care about that. That is more important than us personally, is that being a platform that exists for a lot of people here at Web Summit who I've met today.
You are an internet business, though, competing for talent with internet businesses that can give people equity, that can promise people there'll be an IPO someday. Is this going to make it harder for you to recruit?
No, because I think it makes it easier, especially for the sort of people that we work with. We've always been very open with people about the fact that, being an option holder, equity holder in Kickstarter is not the 1 in a million lottery ticket that a startup may be promising you. The way we think about this, having been a profitable company for 5 years, is that each year we want to provide a dividend or profit sharing, those sorts of models, to where as the company does well, all the stakeholders do well. If the company does not do well, we all feel the pain of that. But that you are constantly aligned with the performance of your business and how well it's doing of meeting your customers' needs. There shouldn't be like everyone just gets rich and stops caring and is shopping for boats all day. That is not a good moment for a company. So there is upside, but it is upside on an annual basis. It is still like real life money, but it's not just a single lottery ticket. And so we're just very open with people about how we think about things, what our goals are. And it ends up that there are some incredibly talented and exceptional people who are interested in that. And the level of talent that we have at Kickstarter is extreme. And part of it is a lot of people who feel wearied of the constant chase of the lottery ticket and want to be in a place where the work they do every day, they can feel proud of 60 years from now. It's not like, oh yeah, that one didn't work. I met my cliff, but it never amounted to anything. It's not that kind of place. So I think that there are a lot of people for whom that is quite exciting.
You did take venture capital money in the earlier part of your journey. Did you come under pressure from investors, from others, not to make this step?
No, not once. About 5 months after we launched, we raised a small round of funding from Union Squares Ventures and Fred Wilson. Also part of that round of funding were Jack Dorsey, Chris Sacca, Katarina Fake, some excellent people. They've always been nothing but supportive. And we told them from the beginning, listen, we are idealists. We have a very clear point of view about how we want to do this, and this is how we're approaching this, and we really want to all be on the same page about it, or else this is going to suck. But everyone agreed. And us becoming a public benefit corporation, this isn't a unilateral move by us as a company. This is a move made in concert with our investors. They all get a vote. And there wasn't a single person that voted no. Everyone was quite supportive, and I think they similarly feel excited about there being other models for entrepreneurs to pursue.
And Kickstarter isn't like a typical internet company. I think when people join, they get a booklet called Fuck the Monoculture.
We have our mission and philosophy handbook that new employees get, but the last page of that says, it's on the internet somewhere, it says, we believe in art and culture, fuck the monoculture. And the monoculture is just the same. of the world that gets created when everyone's just trying to optimize for money. Monoculture is a world of chains and banks and every top 40 hit being written by the same 4 people. And we all need to fight for a more diverse culture, creative culture. I mean, this is what the internet has brought, but it's something that must be protected and must continue to be reinvested in. And so, yeah, that's a flag we fly. And again, I think there are a lot of other people doing that. There aren't as many companies of our scale that are doing that, but it's incredibly important. That is a fight worth fighting.
And what would you say in the last 5-6 years has been Kickstarter's
about traditional means of funding films, albums, companies, hardware, whatever? It's always through the lens of investment. And the way you're able to raise money is by convincing someone else that they can make money from you as a result. But most of the great ideas in life have no interest in making money, they just want to exist. But you would see artists and creators contorting their idea to try to create a profit outcome, even if it was unnatural to the work itself. And so I feel like what we have done is we've created a place where a work can exist just because people are excited for it to. It doesn't need a profit justification. And I think that changes a lot. I look at the world of hardware, which we're seeing here. I mean, that's a classic example. Small scale hardware was nowhere because those are not great investments. They're not meaning to produce the scale of some massively successful product that's going to be in Walmart or Target. It's much more niche, it's community driven, and those are things, again, that traditional investors are not going to find all that compelling. But on Kickstarter, guess what? There's huge crowds of people, and not even huge, 100 people that are interested in something, and as a result, it can exist, it can flourish in a way that it wouldn't otherwise. These are things that are not possible in a traditional investment environment, and that's a whole universe that's been created. And that's in hardware and film. 10% of the movies that have played at Sundance the past 5 years have been funded on Kickstarter. 7 Oscar-nominated movies. We're the largest publisher of graphic novels, independent comics. So there's many, many things that have happened. But I think a lot of it just comes from just being a community and a culture driven by sincere fandom, people being really excited about new ideas. I myself have backed 1,500 projects. There's a lot of people out there like this.
You mentioned hardware. Does it bother you at all that some hardware projects, let's say Oculus Rift, get funded by the community at Kickstarter and then sell to a big company, in Oculus's case for $2 billion, and the community doesn't get a particular benefit?
Well, I think that an artist or creator's creative freedom is incredibly important. And I would never feel comfortable with a Kickstarter where you are forbidden from doing what you think is right for your project. The sale to Facebook happened 2 years after Oculus. Backers were already fulfilled. It was a fascinating moment because obviously it raised questions: what happens in something like this? Plus it's Facebook, so there's just a lot of things to think about. But I didn't find that troubling. I'm a backer of Oculus, and what I immediately read was, wow, they have a lot of pressure on them and a lot of expectations around Oculus, and I'm sure they're thinking, how in the world can we pull this off at the biggest scale possible? And it suggests a move like that. I found that debate interesting, but I didn't see any big moral issues with it.
The range of projects on Kickstarter is pretty extraordinary. At the moment, you've got on the front page a Maya Angelou documentary, an LGBT book series, music for cats.
Yeah.
What have you learned by monitoring what works, what doesn't work over the years?
That's a great question. Well, there's the success of projects. It varies quite a bit by category. Something like technology is where you'll see the biggest funding projects, right? You'll see Pebble. Eric is here this week. Very nice guy. I should say hi to him. Pebble have huge returns, but also the technology category has the lowest funding success rate. It's very hit or miss. The projects that do the best are ones where there's a real community around them. The most successful categories are dance and theater, where it's a real world community, people coming together to bring something to life. And it's when backers are really a part of the process, when it's more of a peer relationship versus a customer relationship, that I think projects are at their best. But yeah, in every category, it's the dynamics are quite unique.
And you also occasionally break your own rules to support projects that aren't core Kickstarter. Recently, working with the UNHCR to help Syrian refugees. Is that a one-off, or are there going to be more interventions like this?
Yeah, we, about a week after the PBC, the Benefit Corporation announcement happened, I got a call from the White House asking if we would be willing to work with them to launch a Kickstarter project for the Syrian refugee crisis. And yeah, we immediately said yes. We'd never done anything humanitarian related in the past. Our platform is strictly around creativity. But in the wake of the PBC, which I think mandates a kind of boldness and courageousness from us in seeking to have positive impact, and considering the cause, and we're watching the news like anyone else, feeling hopeless, it felt like the right move. And so there we were able to raise $1.8 million for the UN Refugee Agency in the span of just 7 days. Worked with The Guardian and many great partners on that. We don't plan for that to be like a new platform for Kickstarter. I do think that in moments of crisis in the future, it's possible we do something like that again. It was a first step for us and one that we were quite gratified to do. But I believe our focus just on creativity is incredibly important. I think that's a large part of the loyalty and the strong relationship Kickstarter has with the creative community, is our clear dedication to their challenges and to their projects. So I don't plan on changing that, but if there are moments where we think we can have an impact, being just such a powerful platform, we want to do so.
There's a lot of very ambitious startups in the room thinking they want to build something as big, if not bigger, than Kickstarter. What would you like them to do as they're building their empires?
I would say don't sell out. Don't sell out your values. Don't sell out your community. Don't sell out the long term for the short term. Be idealistic, really be clear about the things that drive you. Remember the lessons like your parents or grandparents taught you about how to treat people, and try to build that into the operations of your company. Act with integrity always. It's really being a trustworthy organization. It's just so important, and when you're the opposite, it's impossible to escape. And just have patience. Just have patience. So much of the zeitgeist in the world of business and technology and startups is like, be more aggressive than the next guy, be harder, faster, be paranoid, all these sorts of things. Yeah, it's all wrong. It's all wrong. I think that being patient, being thoughtful, being creative, focusing on what's right, trying to make the right decisions, that stuff matters. And that stuff you'll feel proud of 50 years from now. And it's just the right thing to do. So don't succumb to that pressure. Be very clear about your own values and just believe. It's harder, but in the long run, it's easier. I promise.
Last question.
Yeah.
Yancey's about to become a dad for the first time. Yancey, babies can be expensive. You now have responsibilities. Do you never wish that maybe for a little bit of time you kind of focused on building the pile of cash that could have eased you over the next few years?
My wife can do that. Yeah, it's definitely it's going to be a new thing to provide for a family, but I'm very excited about it.
It's going to be one ethically educated kid. Yancey Strickler of Kickstarter. Thank you.
Thank you guys. Thank you, sir.